Good morning, 4th grade. This week we are going to continue to explore food webs and reviewing how they work. Also practice and use different websites to see how different organisms interact in each ecosystem. Also, I want to remind you that next Thursday on May 6th, you will have your ecosystem and food web test. I have shared a study guide and also a link to Quizlet on Google Classroom. Let's take you to that now so I can show you where to find it. Here we are on our Science Google Classroom page. If you click on classwork, you will see the different topics that we use to study each week. You are going to scroll down to test review. I have added 2 new links. The first link that you will see is the Unit 6 Quizlet flashcards. You can click on this Quizlet link and it will take you to the different vocabulary words that we will be used and see on our test. You can use these different tools to study these different words, either by playing like a matching game or just practicing one-on-one. Let's go back to Google Classroom. Under the Unit 6 flashcards, we also have our Unit 6 study guide, ecosystems, and food web. I have shared 2 different documents that will help you review for our study guide. They are the same document. One is in English and one is in Spanish. The first one is in Spanish. The second document is the one in English. Let's open it up. Alright, when you get to the document on Google Classroom, you will have the different vocabulary that will be on our test. We have organisms, ecosystems, food web, producer, consumers, herbivores, carnivores, and decomposers. And then at the bottom of the document, you have an example of a food web. If you look at our food web here, I have put them in different boxes. If you look at the code and also they're labeled, the orange, these organisms that are in the orange, those are producers, which include different plants like grass, trees, flowers. Then if we move up, we see this pink box that's around all these organisms. This pink box means that all these organisms are consumers. Now, within this pink box, we have more different boxes. For example, we have this green box. If we look at the code here, green means herbivore. The animals that are in the green are herbivores, meaning that they only eat plants for energy. Then we have our red box. Our red box means carnivore. If you follow the arrows to this carnivore, this shows that this organism eats meat for its energy. Then on our blue box, we have omnivores. Omnivores, like bears and humans, can either eat meat or plants for energy. I want you guys to review the vocabulary words and also take a close look at this food web so that you can know the different role that each organism plays and how they get their energy in their ecosystem. Alright, now that we have reviewed the study guide, let's move on to our lesson. For today's lesson, we are going to be watching this short clip about food chains. We will watch the video that explains the 3 groups in the food chain: producers, consumers, and decomposers, and how they interact to get energy. At the end of the video, we will complete like a quick practice test to see what we have learned. Please make sure that you are listening and following along with the video.
Mia, it's so cool you have a lizard. Rhinozilla is sweet.
Yep. Gotta say, I'm a fan myself.
What exactly do bearded dragons eat?
I'll show you. It's just about dinner time.
Nice. Wait, are those live crickets?
That's what Rhino eats.
That's kind of gross.
It's not. It's the same thing he'd eat if you were wild and a part of a real food chain.
Food chain?
You know, a food chain. It's the feeding relationship between organisms in an ecosystem.
I knew some animals ate others, but I didn't know it was a chain.
Oh, yeah. The food chain has different levels, sort of like a video game. It goes like this. Producers, herbivores, carnivores, decomposers. All living things need energy to live, and they get their energy by eating. When one type of organism eats another one, energy is passed from one level to another.
Whoa, that's a lot going on. How does energy get passed to another level?
Here, check out this energy pyramid. The chain starts at the bottom, with plants, the producers. They absorb their energy from the sun. Plants use that energy to make their own food. The rest of the animals on the chain are called consumers. Consumers are plants or animals that get their energy by eating other living things.
There must be a lot of consumers then.
There are. The first level of consumers are called herbivores. Herbivores get their energy by eating plants. Crickets are herbivores. They munch on leaves to get the energy they need to live. A lot of insects are herbivores, but so are bigger animals too, like giraffes, elephants, and koalas.
So the energy from the plants goes to the herbivores that eat them?
That's right. It moves from the producers to the first level consumers, the herbivores.
Sweet. What about animals that eat meat?
Carnivores. They get their energy by eating other insects and animals as meat. Rhino is a carnivore. So are other pets like dogs and cats, and wild animals like wolves.
I hope nothing eats Rhinozilla.
Carnivores do eat other carnivores. There are two levels of carnivores, second level and third level. Those higher carnivores are the third level consumers. Animals like owls, lions, and tigers are third level consumers. Since a bearded lizard like Rhino is a second level consumer, that means another carnivore higher up on the food chain would eat him.
Time out. I don't want Rhinozilla to get eaten.
Me neither. But in the food chain, third level consumers eat second level consumers. So in the wild, it'd be game over for Rhino.
Well, I'm glad he's safe inside his cage. Are there any more levels left on the chain?
Just one. Decomposers. Decomposers break down dead plant or animal matter and release the nutrients back into the soil.
So that's what happens when a plant or animal dies?
Right. Decomposers like bacteria break them down so the energy they contain is transferred to the soil for new plants to use again.
So the energy just keeps getting reused?
Exactly. And if that food chain is broken, it hurts all of the organisms on the chain, not just one.
Let's see if I have the energy to remember all the links in the chain.
Go for it. Let's start at the bottom.
All right. So the food chain goes like this. Producers, herbivores, carnivores, and decomposers. A food chain is the feeding relationship between the organisms in an ecosystem. Organisms on a food chain depend on each other for energy, and if the chain is broken, they're all affected. There you go. The chain lives on.
And as your reward, I offer you a delicious, nutritious cricket.
I think I'm about done with that food chain for today. Got any pizza?
Now there's a food chain even I can link up to. Let's go.
Now that we have watched that food chain video and seen how producers interact with carnivores and decomposers, let's test our knowledge. I will read the question, we'll pause it so you can answer on Edpuzzle, and then we will reveal the answer. Question 1. What are plants and animals that get their energy from eating other things? What are those called? Is it producers, consumers, decomposers, or herbivores? If you said consumers, that is correct. Let's move on to question 2. This question 2 says, which of the following shows the proper order of the food chain? So let's take a look at these different examples of food chain to see which one shows the proper way a food chain usually goes. First one says producers, carnivores, decomposers, herbivores. Choice number 2 says herbivores, decomposers, producers, carnivores. Choice number 3 says producers, herbivores, carnivores, and decomposers. And choice number 4 says producers, carnivores, herbivores, and decomposers. The correct choice here is choice number 3. Producers start a food chain. Those are usually include plants, which create their own energy using the sun. Producers then give their energy to herbivores. Herbivores are those organisms that eat plants. Herbivores are then eaten by carnivores. These are those animals that eat other meat. And then carnivores, the dead parts of carnivores are eaten by decomposers. Alright, which part of the food chain eats only meat? Is it an herbivore, a producer, a carnivore, or a decomposer? If you said carnivore, that is correct. A carnivore is a type of consumer that only eats meat. Our next question says, how do consumers get energy? Is it choice 1, by adapting to their environment? Choice 2, by moving around? Choice 3, by sleeping? Or choice 4, by eating? If you said by eating, that is correct. Consumers get their energy by eating. Alright, question 6 asks, what happens if a portion of the food chain is broken? For question 6, what happens when a portion of the food chain is broken is all of the organisms in that chain are affected. The producers, the consumers, the decomposers, every single part, because they will not have somewhere to get their energy from. Our last question says, an elephant eats only plants. What type of consumer is an elephant? Is it an herbivore, carnivore, second level consumer, or third level consumer? Remember, it eats only plants. If you said herbivore, that is correct. An elephant is an herbivore because it only eats plants. You guys did really good at this test, at this practice test. When you take your test next Thursday, these are similar questions on what you will see. Keep practicing this and also your study guide, and you will be well prepared